I didn't expect it to end the way that it did because the relationship was so good. Like, I was so in love with him. Like, I just didn't expect it to end the way that it did. I'm trying to do all 2023, y'all. I literally need some more of this stuff, but this is what I really like to use in order to get my lace as close to my skin complexion as possible without it looking too crazy. So I've just been doing glueless installs. So today's video, I'm just going to be doing a quick glueless install with my Valentine's Day hair. And yeah, we're going to talk about my first and only heartbreak. Like, this man was a Capricorn, and I loved him so much. Do you ever meet that person and you don't expect, like, you don't think you're gonna like them as much as you do, and then you really start to like them, and then you actually start to like love them? That's what happened with this man. I had met him 2013. I had just graduated from hair school, and so I was going to the hair school in Veda and DC at this time. And so around this time, actually, it's funny because I knew, me being at school the whole day, I was doing school like full time. So at that time I was in school like all day long, and so I knew I needed to get a job somewhere around that area because I was gonna always be coming from school going straight to work. And so I wanted it to be like somewhat of an easy transition. I didn't want to be having to travel too far. But it just so happened that I actually found a job that was like right across the street from my school. I was 19 when I had first met him. I was 19 years old, y'all. Fresh. I was like a little baby, but I had just graduated hair school. I graduated hair school. I started working for a salon right around DC. It was near U Street, actually. It was near U Street, not too far from U Street, and I had got that as my very first like salon job. It was like an internship type of deal, but not really. I had to dip out that job because of this heartbreak. I had to literally leave that job because of this heartbreak. It like affected me that much. I was looking for a job basically, like, until I could find a salon job, until I could figure out what I wanted to do straight out of hair school. I was trying to get my license and everything. I went to school on Gallery Place, DC. It's like all these different like shops, food places, restaurants, stores. I actually ended up working for a place called Potbelly. I remember this was a sandwich spot, and it was right across the street from the school. Like, literally my school was right here, and I could look down, like, because we were up on the second level, so I would look out, like when we were in the actual like salon area of the school, I could be able to like look outside and I could see the Potbelly shop right outside. I'm gonna use my little I love this especially for my glueless installs, because this just acts like it's almost like an adhesive, but it's very light and it doesn't like, it's still gonna get you together. Especially with me liking to be able to take my wigs off every couple of days or so. I love this stuff. I love using this stuff because, and then it just gives like a seamless melt. But I would drive to the parking lot, and then I would just catch the bus all the way from the parking lot all the way into the city. And it would take me literally, the line that I was on, I was blessed because the line that I was on, I didn't have to go and take a different bus or anything like that. I didn't have to do none of that. I just literally would go get on the bus, and then it would take me all the way straight to my school, and I would get off and go to school. So it was cool. Like, I didn't have to worry about putting a lot of gas. I had started working there, and then I actually ended up getting the job like not too long before I was getting ready to graduate. So I was getting ready to finish up school, and I knew I was looking for a job. That's why I started looking for a job, because during the time that I was actually in school, I was like, I just want to focus on school. I want to focus on getting my license, and then when I am getting ready to graduate, I'll go ahead and find a job or something, and I'll start looking. So it was literally like maybe like not even a little under a month. I'm gonna do a couple layers and let it dry, and then I'm gonna pop my wig on. But it was not even a whole month that I had left of school, and I ended up getting that job there. So it ended up working out. And then I remember I started working there. This is something cool for me to be able to like leave school, come over here, do what I need to do, and make my money, and then go home. And then during that time, I was also still looking for like a salon job. So that's how that ended up happening. not too long after I started working there, like maybe like a month and a half or so. This is when my actual ex had got the job there, and he started working there as a supervisor. He started working there, and then he was getting trained. Everybody like that was working there at the time was like, we were all around the same age. If not, like maybe like 25 was like the oldest maybe, but we were all fairly like young, and people were like in school, or this was like their second job or something. So it was like a really cool, like we were all young. It was fun. It was a fun job. I don't know what it was. I think one day we were at work and everybody knew except for me. Everybody knew, and I kind of just figured, because back then, y'all, I was in my bag. Like I've always been in my bag and just been focused. Like I'm boy crazy in a sense, but for the most part, like if I'm not thinking about you, you're not on my mind. Like I don't care. Like I'm not gonna go out my way to be like thinking about a nigga, or you know what I'm saying. Like it's just, if it happens, it happens. If it don't, I'm cool either way. So it seemed like everybody had knew that he had liked me except for me. And I think one day one of like the managers had ended up like joking, and she had blurted it out like, oh, because such and such like Liz. And I was like, oh. And I think from there I started, you know, when you don't even like really like pay attention to somebody, and then when somebody makes like a comment about somebody, and then you kind of recognize them, and you're like, oh, well, they are a little bit cute. Like, oh, he might be cute. Like, okay. So that's kind of how that happened. And once like everybody kept making little comments, it was almost as if he wanted them to make those comments to me so that I could kind of know. Because when she had said it, he didn't really say anything. He just smiled, and I was just looking like, oh yeah, like what's tea? But he didn't really say anything, so he didn't confirm it. So I was just like, but he also didn't deny it. So I was just like, okay, well, I don't really know what it's given, but okay, I'm gonna just play and act accordingly. I'm also the type of person, like if I know you like me, I'm gonna start flirting with you just to see like what is given. Even if I don't like you, I can completely not like you, not be interested in you, have no interest in you whatsoever, and just will flirt with you just because. I don't know, that might be an asshole, but whatever. So then when I noticed that he was, I was just like, okay. So long story short, basically we had ended up starting to talk or whatever. Girl, this was my first heartbreak. I have to remember this. Oh, how did this happen? This is the wig. Isn't she so bomb? She looks nice and shiny. Oh my gosh, she's so shiny. It's so vibrant. I love her. I had to give her a little touch up. They put a little band in there, so we good to go. I love putting bands in my wigs. But she just needed like a cute little revamp. He ended up asking me for my number. And then from there, I was like, okay. Gave him my number. I was like, okay, cool. Then he was just like telling me like, oh, it is dripping. It's not all the way dry. I think from there he kind of like asked me on our first date, and we ended up going to the movies. That was like our thing. Like we would go to the movies. We always go to the movies. So hopefully this sticks over here. We ended up going to Magic Johnson Theater over there in Largo, the Largo Town Center. If y'all know, y'all know. If you're from the DMV, you already know. That's where we ended up going for our first date. I can't tell you for the life of me what movie we ended up seeing, because this was like, I don't know how many years ago at this point, but it was a while ago, and I really want to remember what the first movie like that we ended up going to see, because we actually went on dates there for like, we went on a few dates there. I just can't recall what the exact first one was. And I was all nervous. Like I was like, and then you know like when you see somebody outside of work. So the first date basically like he was hella shy. I could tell like outside of work it was a whole different vibe. It was a whole different vibe. Like I was like, oh, I can tell he actually likes me. And it was kind of like weird seeing him outside of work. I was like, oh my God, he's so cute. He was so cute, y'all. Oh my gosh. I need to find pictures of us. If I can find pictures of us, I'm going to definitely post them so y'all can see. But seeing him for the first time outside of work was like, oh my gosh, he is cute. Like without the work clothes on and the uniform, smelling like sandwiches. Like it was like, oh, he's actually cute. And then from there, like just, I don't know, it was like a switch. And I also, I don't know if I like going to the movies as a first date, just because I feel like you can't really like get to know somebody if you go to the movies on the first date, because it's like y'all are paying attention to the movie and not each other. So you kind of like, you can't, it's not a, I don't feel like the movies is like a great place to go for a first date, just because you can't really like get to know the person. You have to kind of like be focused on the actual movie. I had never met anyone like so charming like that, so I immediately like was just like, oh my gosh, like, is this I was just hard eyes. It was just giving hard eyes, hard eyes, hard eyes. He was very much a gentleman. I was just like, oh my gosh, like, who is this person? Like, where did you come from? It's so crazy. Just wasn't expecting that. He was so charming. He was handsome. He smelled good. Like, oh, y'all, oh my gosh. Ouch, 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 ouch. After the first date, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I think I like him. We started talking more, we was texting more, we would see each other every day at work. And then we started dating a lot more after that. Like, we didn't even start going together until like maybe like go together. We go together real bad. We didn't actually start going together like that until maybe, I don't even know when. Y'all, I thought I was gonna marry this man. No lie. But then again, it was like I was so young. So yeah, I was just like head over heels. This was like my very first boo, like my actual serious, this is like my very first serious relationship. So I just knew like, oh my gosh, like, oh, he's so cute, blah 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 blah. So basically, we were going places, we were doing stuff, like, and I like that. Like, I love people who are adventurous and who like to try new things. He was so adventurous. He always was introducing me to new stuff, and I love that. I'm like, because I feel like with a lot of my, not even a lot, because I remember I've only been in like 3 relationships, but out of those 3 relationships, I feel like I was always the person like introducing like new stuff, or I'm always being the person to like try different places or do different things. After a while, you just be like, dang, like, you know, what are you bringing to the table for me? Like, what are you showing me or teaching me that I don't already know? Or you know what I'm saying? Like, make the relationship fun, make it exciting, make it like adventurous, make it like worth it, so that it's like, okay, like I had my time with this person and I was able to learn from them. I had new experiences with them. Even if the relationship doesn't work out, sometimes it's cool to just be able to experience new stuff with a person. I learned a lot from him because he was hella smart. And I think why I liked him a lot was because not only was he very charming, but it was almost like he was very charming, but he was very smart. Like, he just treated me like a queen, y'all. I think that was honestly what stole my heart. And another thing with him, because you know how like a lot of people, like, or a lot of guys per se, like when you get in a relationship, they will do a lot to get you, but they don't do anything to keep you. And that's what kind of like, that's when I think a lot of problems begin to happen, or the spark dies out in relationships, because people will do stuff to get that person or to show them that they're interested, but then when they actually have that person, they don't do the same stuff that they once did to keep and maintain a relationship with them. And so they feel like they already got that person, so they're no longer worth working for to keep. But it's like, no, you want to keep doing the things that you did to show them that you're interested, to show them that you know, you care, and that you, like, you're happy. After the 6th date, then he ended up asking me if I would be his girl, and we ended up starting to go together, and it was cool. So we was like, oh my god, like, we go together. At this time, I was still working at the spot. I want to say we were together for like over a year. At this time, you know, our relationship really started to progress, and it definitely started to like become a little bit more serious. We were going out more, and then I ended up meeting his mom. He lived with his mom, his aunt, his cousins. So he kind of lived with like a lot of people. And y'all, he was the very first person that I brought home to my parents. Like, my grandparents met him. When my grandparents meet you, oh nigga, it's real. We're getting married. That's it. That's it. We're getting married. Like, I don't take nobody home. So they knew I was serious. Is my thing about to fall? I kind of noticed it maybe like around the time where I started work. That's way too much. But I kind of noticed it around the time where I started working for Macy's. Like, he was obviously coming there. Like, he was coming there when he could. Oh, I don't like all of that. I remember Valentine's Day, he had brought me like all these roses to my job. But the thing is, with him, he would do stuff like that just because. Just because. So I love that. Like, don't get me wrong, Valentine's Day is cool and all. Like, I love Valentine's Day if I'm not in a relationship, or even if I am in a relationship. But honestly, I be side-eyeing niggas who only do stuff for their girl on Valentine's Day, because it's like every day. Granted, like, I'm not gonna say every day should be Valentine's Day, because that's not realistic. But low key, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the thing about him was he was very much like, he would do stuff like that for me just because. You know when you get with somebody and you start like planning your life with them before you even know what you know? Like, you just start planning your life because you like them that much. That's kind of like, ooh. That's kind of like what it was. Granted, he had his issues. Some of the issues that I had with him was like, he would be a little bit, a tad bit controlling, but to a, like, not to the point where it was like, oh my god, he's controlling. Like, it wasn't like that. It was just enough. It was just enough to where I liked it. Not controlling where he would be like telling me like what to do, what to wear, who to go with, who to be around, where I could go and stuff like that. Like, not like that, but it was like he would put his foot down type of thing. Like, say we would have like a disagreement and he would be like, well, this is what it's going to be and that's what it is. Like, there's no more us going back and forth about it. And I would be like, oh, okay. I mean, what else can you say? It wasn't too much. It was just enough. So I was like, okay, I don't mind it. I need to pluck this side a little bit more. He ended up getting promoted at the place that we had met each other at and everything. I think he was working like a whole other job and everything. He was working like 2 jobs, y'all, and still was making hella time for me. Like, and I love that. It just seemed like he was just doing everything that I liked. I never had to beg for his time, and I love that. Like, I love when I don't have to beg for my person's time. Like, you already know. Like, why do I gotta ask you, you know? Where things started to maybe take a turn. Hold on, let me cut this a little bit. You know when you kind of like, it seems like stuff kind of starts to die out a little bit. And not where it's like he's not doing stuff that he once was. It's kind of like where you notice like like the spark is almost starting to fade a little bit. That's very much normal in a lot of relationships. And so it's just a matter of learning how to survive that so that it doesn't die out. Like, it's up to both of y'all. It's not up to one person. It's up to both of y'all to keep maintaining and doing the things that you know you're supposed to do. I like to see how we will adjust. I like to just see, like, you know, what you're gonna do if, you know, when stuff starts to change a little bit, like how that person is gonna be, you know. I ended up meeting his parents or whatever, and then it got to a point, you know, where I would be, I'm just trying to pluck this over here a little bit. It got to a point where I would be, you know, coming over, and his family, you know, I feel like his mom was pretty cool. It was his aunt who I kind of was just like, she was a little bit more stricter. She was actually a lot strict. And you gotta think about it. Like, we were like, I was 19. He was maybe, how old was he? Maybe like 1 year older. So he wasn't too far off though, but his aunt was definitely on him, which I get it, like, especially with being like a boy, like, guys, you know, you gotta be on them. So she was pretty strict. His mom was more chill. His aunt was very much like strict, religious. Like, she was like more so on him, like on him, which was cool. I didn't really mind it because my grandmother is the same way. Like, she, you know, like, she's a whole pastor. And so I just was like, you know, I told her that. I was like, you know, my grandma's a pastor. Like, it's fine. But I still kind of got like the feeling like she didn't necessarily like me, but I didn't want to think that it was anything personal because I was just like, this is just like, she don't know me. At the end of the day, she got to protect him. This isn't about me. Like, you know, she just got to do what she got to do for him, which I understood. Like, I've always been very like, I always just try to give people the benefit of the doubt, so I really wasn't tripping. We live literally like maybe like 45 minutes to an hour away from each other. So it's not even like we were like very close. We kind of live like pretty far away from each other. So that was also another thing that kind of made the relationship a little bit hard to spend time with each other. I had the car, he didn't have a car, so if we were seeing each other, we were going to see each other like somewhere in the city, because that was kind of like the mutual meeting spot for both of us, because DC was like 30 minutes from me, DC was 30 minutes from him. He lived more so like north, I lived more so south. So DC was kind of like the middle ground for both of us. I knew that, you know, I was the one with the car. So I just had a feeling like, you know, if I want to see him, it's going to always have to be me meeting him halfway. And, you know, plus I didn't really have people over my house like that. So I already knew like, okay, he's not going to be coming over, because I just never had people over like that. It was a cool relationship. Like, we were dating, like an actual dating like relationship. He went all out for me on a regular. So Valentine's Day, it really wasn't like anything that I wasn't used to, because he would always do stuff for me. He would always like just show me he cared about me and just do stuff for me just because it was like a Monday or a Tuesday, and I like that. So it's obviously the next morning now. I did my nails. They're all lovey-dovey nails. Everything was going good, and for the most part, everything was going good. And then I noticed like around the time when I started coming over his house is when things started to somewhat take a turn, because so one day I ended up coming over his house, and because we live so far away from each other, like if I would come over there, typically we would like smoke and we would chill. And so, you know what, if you driving like a long way, usually like if you after you smoke and you chilling, you don't want to get up and go home right away. Like, you want to be able to chill and not like feel like you have to go. So we were chilling one day, we were like watching movies and stuff, and so his parents weren't home, so we ended up chilling, you know. But because I had met them previously, like his aunt, his mom was cool. She was a little bit more cool. His aunt was the one who was like a little bit more like, you know, like I mentioned, like she was more religious. She was more like, I ain't going for it. Plus, she didn't give me like really warm vibes, and that's cool. I feel like a lot of times people have to kind of like warm up to you in order for you to kind of, for them to feel comfortable around you, which is cool. So I really went with people like that. I usually don't take it personal, because I feel like they just don't know me, and it's fine. I just don't take it personal. So this one particular day, I had went over his house, and we ended up smoking. We were chilling, you know, watching movies and stuff. And by the time I looked up, it was late. It was late. And mind you, I live like a whole hour away. So I'm like, I don't want to go home. And he didn't want me to go home. Like, he was like, oh, like, no, you need to stay here. You don't need to be driving late night. Da, da, da. So I was like, stay here. I was like, with you and your mom? Like, you and your mom and your aunt? Like, his aunt didn't give me the type of vibes where it would be cool for me to stay over. Like, you know, with some people, like, you can kind of read the temperature in the room, and you kind of know, like, if it's cool. Like, you kind of know, like, okay, they're going to let me stay over. They wouldn't have a problem. Like, them type of people. She didn't give me them type of vibes at all. She did not give me that vibe. She gave me the vibe, like, girl, don't play with me. Like, yeah, she was pretty strict. So I could tell, like, and I was just like thinking to myself, I was just like, I was like, okay, I'm gonna just stay the night. And it was raining really bad. It was raining real bad, to the point where it was like that rain where you can't even see, like that type of rain. So I was like, yeah, which I didn't mind driving, but it was like the distance was somewhat the issue, because it seemed like, yeah, it was like literally over an hour. It would probably be like a smooth hour. I ended up staying, and I was like, okay, but at this time his aunt wasn't home. And it was just I don't think anyone was home, actually. I think they were all out. I don't know why I did that with my brow, but I think his family, they were like all out. So we were just chilling watching a movie. We fell asleep, right? We fell asleep, And I think his family had got home really late. And so we were in his room or whatever, and I don't know what gave it away. I feel like they probably like saw my car outside. I don't know. They probably, or she just had a feeling, like, you know, the Holy Spirit be, you know. So if you know, you know. And I asked him before I stayed. I was like, babe, did she like come in your room at all? Did she ever like? He was like, no, no one ever comes in my room. So it's cool if you stay the night and just leave in the morning. Like, it's fine. But I really don't feel like he was being honest. I really feel like he just wanted me to stay. Like, he didn't want me to go home. He didn't want me to drive in the rain or whatever. But and that was just him as well. Like, he's just always like looking out. Like, he cared for me, genuinely cared. Like, and so how it was, I was on his bed laying down, and I was laying on top of him. Me telling this story is hilarious. Hearing it in hindsight is just like funny because it's like, dang, what was we thinking? So girl, we started doing it. We started doing it. And then, no. We weren't doing it. We were getting ready to. We was getting ready to start doing it. I don't know what it was, bro, but something just told me to tell him no. Like, no, like don't start nothing because, and lo and behold, in comes his aunt. His aunt walks in on us. His aunt walks in on us, y'all. And I'm like, and so the room, let me just describe everything. The room is pitch black. The room is pitch black. His aunt walks in. I don't even know how she knew. Like I said, she's spiritual. So I, just knowing what I know about that, because my grandma, I'm assuming like the spirit led her there. Like I'm not even gonna cap. I felt that because there's no other way that she knew. I didn't park directly in front of the house. Like there was just no other way for her to indicate unless she saw my car. But for all the way that she came in the room, y'all, there was no way that she didn't know that I wasn't there. And it's just like, and even he said, like, she never comes in my room. Like, there's no reason for her to come in here. She'll call me from outside of my room, if anything, if she needs me. Like, he's like, I'm a grown man. So, like, why would she need to just barge in my room? She, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. She comes in the room. The room is pitch black. She comes in and she's like, she calls his name and we act like we sleep. He pulls the covers like over my head. So, and he's hella tall. Like he's like 6'3" or 6'5", I want to say. Like he was hella tall. So he pulls the cover like over my head, and like I'm like on like still on top of him, but he pulls the blanket all the way up to like his chin, and he is just like this. So I'm like, my heart is flooding my chest. My heart is like, dun, 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 dun. Like, cause I'm like, oh my God, like one, and it sounded like she came straight home and came straight in the house, like came straight to his room. Like like the way that she came in there, it's like she knew I was in there. So that threw me off. From what I remember, I had maybe like a shirt or something on. But you know, like when you go to sleep, like you don't really be having like a lot of clothes on. So I didn't have a lot of clothes on. So that's why, yeah, he pulled the cover all the way up. And because, hello, I'm not supposed to be there. According to her, I wasn't supposed to be there. And I knew I wasn't. I was just like, I don't know. I feel like you thinking with your emotions. I don't like the way this brow is looking. It's throwing me off. That's why I'm trying to fix it. So yeah, she comes in, she called, and the room is dark. She comes in. Both didn't say nothing because it's like, we're not about to give away that. Like, what? Yeah, like, so I didn't say nothing, of course, because she ain't call my name. And so, he didn't say nothing. He acted like he asleep. She was like, I know you're not asleep. She's like, I know you're not asleep. She was like, and she calls his name again, and then he's like, you know when you try to act like you like sleep but you can hear, he's like, yeah. She was like, who else is in here with you? And my heart like fell out my chest. She's like, who else is in here with you? He was like, what do you mean? She was like, who else is in this room with you? She was like, is somebody in that bed with you? And he was like, yeah, it's just Liz. And so she's like, what is she doing here? Like, why is she here in the bed with you? Not in my house, not in my house. Like, no, like she's going off now. Like she's going crazy. She's like, what is she doing here with you? Why didn't I know? Like, da 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 da. But I'm like, sis, clearly you knew because you came in here off some like ready to fight type of thing. Like she just came in there like off the like she already knew what time it was. So at that point, once he said that I was there, it was just like no more hiding. So he, you know, but the room is still dark, but you know, you could see in the room based off of the light that's coming in from behind you. So you could still see like that light a little bit. And so she was just like, you know, what is she doing in here? Like, she's not staying here, da da da. Why is she even in the bed with you, da da da. Like, this is not sponge. Like, she's going crazy. She was like, bye, Liz. She was like, it's time for you to pack up your stuff and go home. Like, da 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 da. She's like, it's time for you to go home. We not doing this. Like, she was just going off. And so at that point, he pulls the covers off. And it's this whole thing. Like, she's going, like, she's just doing the most. She's saying all this stuff. And he's like, everybody's mood is just shot at this point. Like, we both just like, oh my God. Like, I was like, oh my God. And I was just like, in the back of my head, I was just like, I freaking told you, nigga. Like, I told you this wasn't a good idea. Like, I already knew. After that, like, I'm getting my stuff. It's pouring rain outside, bro. Like, it's raining. I look at the clock. It's like 1:30 in the morning. It's legit 1:30 in the morning. I'm like, oh my God. Like, this about to be a long drive home. I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I get my stuff. He walks into my car. It's raining. It's pouring rain outside. And he's just like, we're both like, the mood is shot. Like, what? So he was like, I'm so sorry. He's like this is why I've just been wanting to like grind and get my own spot so that we gonna be good. Da, da, da. Like, he's just saying all this stuff, and I'm just like, it's fine. Like, I already knew. He was like, oh, I'm sorry. He was like, she never comes in my room. Like, I don't know why she did that. Da, da, da. And I was like, it's cool. Like, I'm just saying, like, it's fine. Like, I'm just about to go. So I end up leaving, and it's raining, and the whole ride home, y'all, I didn't listen to music. I was just in my car, like, driving, like, this is crazy. And I was trying to focus as well because it was raining like crazy. Like, it was that type of rain you couldn't even see. That was kind of like a turning point in our relationship, I noticed, because I feel like after that, first of all, like, I never went back over his house after that. Like, I went over there one time during the day, and it was when she wasn't there, obviously. Like, nobody was there. It was just him and his cousins. And his cousin also, one of his cousins also worked at the same job as us. So it was me, his cousin, him, and then everybody else who worked there. But yeah, so like, I was already familiar with one of his cousins. And so, girl, we go back to work, and his cousin sees me at work, and he's just like, he puts his head down. He's just like, man. And I was like, what was that? And he's just like, man, he was like, that's crazy what happened. I was like, I know. And I was like, I told him, like, no, like, I didn't want to stay, da da da. He was like, yeah, but she didn't even be in there like that. Like, that's the crazy part, that she knew you was there. I was like, I don't know if it's because of my car. Like, I really don't know. So yeah, we were just talking about it at work. I know some people will feel like if they don't get along with their significant other's family, like, it's not a problem for them. But for me, because I'm so family oriented, like, I really value family, and I love family, and I love being able to be around others' families and just vibe and be all coexistent in the same space. Like, I think that that's important, especially like if this is somebody like you're like building with, and somebody that you're like in a relationship with. Like, I think that's important. So it seemed like after that, it was just kind of like awkward. It was very awkward. And I could tell that he was kind of like embarrassed by it. But it's just like, I don't know, it was just weird. So we ended up getting past that. It was very much like I'ma handle it type of person. And I love that. He's just like, don't worry about it. Like, I'ma handle it. Like, and that was with everything, which I love that. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, he was very like reassuring, and I love that, because I'm like, he's just like, don't you worry about that. Like, you don't worry about her. Like, I'm gonna worry about her. I'm gonna take care of it. Like, it's gonna be fine. And I'm like, okay, say less. So after that, pretty much, I'm trying to think like what happened. yeah, things were going cool. We slowly started to come back around because I'm not gonna lie, I even feel like after that, like we kind of like it was just hella awkward after that. Like even with us being together in the same space, but as we started to like get past it, it was funny to him now. But I don't know, I could tell he was kind of like embarrassed by it, so it was just like, yeah, it was something that we just had to get through and get over. This is not too long after Valentine's Day. Like this is maybe like mid March. Not mid March, the beginning of March. Everything is starting to kind of somewhat come back into play or come back into place or whatever. We were finding time to spend with each other like outside of like work, like how we normally was. It was just like we were doing stuff, going places, but it seemed like we didn't have that peace where we could kind of like go to each other's house, and that was the issue. I felt like it really wasn't like an issue, but it was just an uneasy feeling. It was like, dang, like this is the person that you with, and you can't even like for real spend time with them, and like without it being in a public place. Like he would always just be that type of person to just be like I don't want you worrying about that. Like don't worry about that. Like I got it. Like we're gonna be good. Like that was very much his attitude, and I just love that. Like I love when a man is a man. Like don't let me worry. You know what I'm saying? Don't let me keep my mind wandering. Like you know what I'm saying? Tell me we gonna be good. Tell me like reassure me. Tell me like you know what I'm saying? Like these are things that women love. Take notes. So now we're coming like around March, and around this time I'm still working for Bare Minerals. That's where I was working at when I'm working at Macy's. I'm working at Bare Minerals at this time. I end up getting this other salon job, so I'm working there, and it was for like an Asian lady. It was her salon. It was over there it was near Eastern Market, if you guys know where that is. Like Eastern Market is like a spot or a location rather in DC. It's like, I don't know, they have like, it's like a block, I guess you could say, of restaurants. They have hookah bars, like little stuff like that is over there. So I was working over there at the salon, and at this time, like when you first get a new job, like you're trying to adjust like your work schedule, you're trying to adjust like everything. So I could kind of feel like a strain was happening in our relationship at that time. It feels like something's off. It feels like something is not the same. Like we not good. Like, but it wasn't that. It wasn't that we weren't good. Like we weren't really like arguing and stuff like that. But it just felt like it started to feel like awkward between us. So I had started working at the salon, and I really was so excited to start this job because I was like, I was straight out of hair school, and I needed some type of like in salon experience while I was trying to get my license, because I was trying to get my license at that time, and I was also I was getting ready to take my state board. And so with that, like you don't want to forget everything that you just learned. Like I didn't want to forget everything I had learned in hair school, because it would all be for a waste. It would all be for nothing if I did all of that work and then forgot everything. It's nothing like what you learn until you actually are applying it and doing it every single day. I was doing hair and makeup and stuff before I actually started even going to hair school, but it wasn't professionally, and so that was the goal. It's just like, oh, I need to get my license. So this job was actually perfect because it helped me to get the experience. Hello, water. It helped me to be able to get the experience that I knew I needed and refresh my memory. I just took my lashes off and then I just put glue on, more of the glue I needed to put on there, so that they'll actually stay this time, because I don't want them to be coming off. Anyway, so yeah, I started working at the salon, and I ended up really like hating it because of the cultural difference. The lady was a little bit, she wasn't mean, but she was very like stern. I was doing everything at this salon, y'all. I was doing everything at this salon. I was literally doing pedicures, manicures. I was doing waxing, which that's why I said it was good for me in a way, because I was getting the experience. Like I was like, hold up now. But mind you, we learned all of this in hair school. Like we did the pedicures, we did the manicures, we did all of that in hair school. But mostly it just depends on like what route you decide to take, whether or not you're going to apply it or use it. But it was good to know, especially because I had to take my state board test. March came, now we're like approaching mid-March, and you know, I'm preparing for my birthday. At this time, I want to say I was 19. I think I was 19. I was getting ready to turn 20 at this little age. Dang, like even looking back now, I'm like, he was one of the best. Dang, now I think about it, I'm like, maybe he was like the only person who actually like took the time to plan dates, plan outings, plan like even trips. I don't even think we went on any trips together. We didn't go on any trips because hello, we were both like working like crazy. It's giving glazed donut. It's giving glazed donut, Alex. Alex knows. Anyway, sorry y'all. Okay. Moving on. It seemed like everything was going good. We were having like our little waves. And we never had like, we did have bad arguments. I'm not gonna lie. We did have bad arguments. But leading up towards the end of our relationship, it wasn't toxic. It wasn't like, honestly y'all, I didn't even see it coming. I didn't see it coming. I didn't see the breakup coming. I didn't see any of it. I just was so blindsided. I thought everything was good. And remind you, that's the only thing, like, I love people who are very blunt, open, straight to the point, straightforward. Like, keep it a buck with me. Like, don't lead me on. Don't have me wondering. Don't have me guessing where you stand with stuff. Like, let me know what it is and be honest with me. That's why I always try to be honest with people and just let them know how I'm really feeling. Because I was completely blindsided by the ending of our relationship. I just didn't realize, I didn't expect it to end the way that it did because the relationship was so good. Like, I was so in love with him. Like, I just didn't expect it to end the way that it did. And because of that, I think that's what hurt me the most. Because typically, I feel like with most relationships, like, you know when it's over, you know when y'all are just not working out. You have a feeling, like, if you know you're gonna, like, be with this person, you sometimes, I mean, you're not always right. But typically, you know, like when you know, like you know it's going good. You don't have no reason to not think that it's not going to work out, you know? So basically what happened was, it was my birthday. My birthday was coming up. Like I said, I was like, I didn't really have anything planned for my birthday. At this time, I was just like, I'm a big birthday person. It don't matter the age. I feel like birthdays are I'm one of those people, like birthdays for my friends, for myself, my mom, my family. Birthdays are pretty important to me. Like, it's a big deal. It's like, you want to celebrate your life. Like, why wouldn't you want to celebrate your life? For people who be like, oh, it's just another day, I'm like, you're crazy. I don't know why you feel like that, because you should literally celebrate your life, because at any given time, any given moment, it can all be taken away. So it only comes once a year, and you just like, you have so much to be thankful for, especially like the older you get. You realize like there are people who don't make it with you, like that you even grew up with. So it's like birthdays are very important. I was getting ready to turn, I think 20, if I'm not mistaken. So I was definitely like feeling like I was becoming like a big girl, and I couldn't wait. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm about to turn 20, like this is it. I'm so excited, da da da. I didn't know, knowing him though, he was the type to always have something planned, do something, a dinner, something. So he was just like asking me like, oh, what do you want to do for your birthday? And I was like, I don't know, like I don't know yet. I'm gonna put something together, like maybe. And I was like, I know you'll probably want to do something, like me and him, like you'll probably want to do something, so we can do something, and da da da. I'll probably do something with my friends separately. I think at this time I wasn't really working at the Bare Minerals, so I really wasn't that close to his job like I once was. Like I was like further now, and he rarely came over there. Like he maybe came to that salon job maybe like once or twice. Like he didn't come over there like that because it was not as close as it was before. So I started to not see him like that, especially like around work time. Here's the part where basically our relationship started to kind of dwindle down a little bit. Basically, the week of my birthday is now here. The week of my actual birthday, like, he went ghost. He just completely went ghost on me. Like, and I was so in love with him. Like, there was no problems. There was no issues. We weren't beefing. We weren't going through nothing. We was literally like, good morning, hey babe, how are you, da da da, what are you doing, da da da, call me later, type of thing. Like we were like regular everyday relationship. Like there was no problems. I don't know if we got in an argument. I can't even recall like what our last conversation was. I don't remember. I can't recall like what our actual last conversation was before we actually like broke up. But I just know like I hadn't heard from him and everything was fine. Like there was no reason. So I was really confused. I was worried. I started to get worried. Like I was calling him. I was like, I know he's working a lot, but you know, we don't not talk to each other. Like this is just weird. Like so I started to get kind of worried, and then you know, I was calling him, texting him. I was like not hearing anything. So after a little while, I'm just like, maybe he's ignoring me. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to reach out to you anymore if you're like ignoring me. But being as though we weren't beefing, there was no reason for you to ignore me. There was nothing that, you know, it was just really random. It was just like, what would you be ignoring me for? Because we weren't even beefing. You know, it's like hella random. So I was just confused. I was like, we're not beefing. Like, I don't know, what's the problem? So I'm trying to make sure this looks good and not too plummy. So yeah, I'm like starting to now get worried because I'm like, okay, where's my boo? Like, where's he at? Like, what's going on? Like, I ain't heard from him. This is not normal. Like, where could he be? Like, hello? And I was thinking about popping up at the work, but something about it, the situation just wouldn't let me. Like, I was like, I'm not gonna pop up at his job. Like, he did that to me all the time. And I was like, okay. But I didn't want to do that. And so, being as though I still had a relationship with the people who we worked with, like, even though I didn't work there anymore, I would still, like, talk to them, like, on social media every now and again. And so, I was just like, should I reach out to them and ask, like, hey, has he been at work? Like, I haven't heard from him. Like, or I'm the type of person, though, like, I don't really want people in my business like that. So, especially in a situation like this, like, when it has to do with, like, my relationship, because I don't want people to, like, I was just thinking about it from all angles. Like, I just don't want people to be thinking, like, and this is, like, all my relationships. I'm like this in all my relationships. Like, I don't want anybody to ever question, like, if we good or not. Like, I didn't want to reach out to somebody at work and be like, hey, has he been at work? Because I can't get in contact with him. When the whole time he's doing good and he at work. He right there at work and he just not talking to me, you know? So I was like, no. And these people at the job, they were already in my business. Like, they are already like, and I think it intrigues people when they don't know about you. They don't know about your business. They don't have nothing, like, they have no idea what's going on in your life. And so they look for, like, any and every reason to be in your business. Like, those are the type of people who I was working with at that time. So I would move the way I move because I'm just like, I don't like people knowing my business. I like to be, like, private, especially when it comes to, like, my intimacy, my relationship, like, and they ended up somehow finding out, like, what happened as far as me being over there and that night and everything. Like, they found out and people were like, thank God I wasn't, was I there? Was I still working there? I don't remember if I was still working there or not. But I just remember, like, somebody making, like, a little comment about that night and it kind of, like, threw me off. So I was like, I don't know. How do you even know that? Like, and why do you even feel comfortable bringing that up to somebody? It's not your business. Anyway, so yeah, the week of my birthday is here. It's getting closer and closer to my birthday. I'm like, this is weird. Like, I haven't heard from him. I'm like, I know he's not locked up. Like, I know he's not locked up. I seen him, like, active on, like, Facebook. Do y'all like this? Does she look pretty? Basically, you know, I was like looking for him. Oh my God, it's 9:42. I have to get ready to go. I'm looking for him, and nothing. Girl, my birthday comes, nothing. Birthday comes, I decided not to reach out to anybody. I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna just play it safe. And I ended up having his mom's number. And I also had his cousin's number. Nobody would respond to me. So I was like, oh, okay, this is bad. Okay, cool. So he's just blatantly ignoring me at this point because I didn't reach out to his cousin. I didn't reach out to his mom to see, like, if he's good, like, what's going on. And ain't nobody reached back out to me. And ain't nobody told me nothing. So I'm like, okay, so he's ignoring me. Like, yeah, okay, cool, I got it. Like, say less. You don't have to tell me twice. So my birthday comes, I don't hear nothing from this man. Like, he ghosted me, completely ghosted me. Like, and we're in a relationship, nigga. Like, I'm not none of that. Like, we're actually together, nigga. Like, we are together. We are locked in. Like, and it's been like over a year that we've been together. So I was just like, where is this coming from? Like, he ain't never did this before. Like, you know how your person moves. Like, you know when somebody in their ear, you can just tell because they do stuff that they never did before. And that was something that he just never did. So it was just so left field. It was just like really unexpected. It's weird. No one in his family is responding to me. Everybody acting like, his cousin ended up responding to me. And he was like, you know, he good. Like, ain't nothing happened or nothing. Like, I don't know why he not answering, da da da. So I was like, okay, cool, thank you. Like, finally, you know. So after my birthday, when he didn't reach out to me, he didn't say anything. He was ghost. He was gone on my birthday. I was like, oh yeah, this is it. Like, this is it. We're done. Like, nigga, you're not about to go ghost on me. You're not about to disappear on me and think that we're still about to be together. And you, whatever you got going on, you couldn't even find the decency to call me and let me know. Like, you're childish and I'm over it. So birthday came and went. My birthday came and went, and I still didn't hear anything back. So I just took it as a like, we done, that's it. Like, he ghosted me. I ain't heard nothing from him, and that's just what it is. I went about my life. I wasn't working around him anymore, so we wasn't gonna run into each other at all. Like, it was what it was, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna just write this off, and that's just gonna be the end of it. And so that's just kind of how I carried it. Girl, tell me why. I ended up hearing from him maybe like a month later. And I was really like going through it with this relationship. Like, I really like, because it was so unexpected, because it was so like, it was so unexpected, it was so left field. Like, I just didn't see it coming. I was just really confused and bombarded by it. I was just like, what did I do? Did I do something wrong? Like, what happened? Like, imagine being in love with somebody and then they just completely ghost you out of nowhere, and you know nothing. You have no answers. You don't know anything. You're just thinking of all these different what ifs, reasons why, maybes. Did this person cheat? Like, did they just, like, what's going on? Are they locked up? Are they in trouble? Are they in a hospital? Like, but because his cousin told me, like, no, he's good. Like, I don't know why he's not responding. That let me know, like, okay, he's just like, he's just clearly ignoring me. And I wasn't about to pop up at his job. Like, I'm not about to pop up at your house unwanted. Like, I'm just not gonna do that. Like, I was starting to feel really hurt. So I took it as an L. I took it and I went with it. And I was just like, it is what it is. Like, I'm gonna just write this relationship off at this point. And I was very depressed. Like, I started to get really, really sad. This is like my very first heartbreak. So I didn't know what this was, but I was really sad. And I'm a very bubbly person. Most of the time I'm very bubbly. I'm very laid back, very chill, very relaxed. But at the same time, I'm bubbly. I'm always usually like upbeat, like in a good mood and stuff. So my mom noticed it. Me and my mom are really close, and especially around this time, like, me and her was really close because I was still like somewhat at home. Not really, but I was at my grandparents' house. Me and my mom weren't living together, but she knew everything. Like, we was just always talking. Like, every day on Facebook we would be talking. And so, like, she could tell something was wrong. I was going through it. I was at work at the new job. Like, this was still very much a new job for me. I'm still learning stuff. I'm still like learning different things and stuff like that. So I had to be present at work, and it was so draining. Like, I couldn't get in it. I couldn't be present at work because I was just so focused on why this was happening, and I was just so worried about like where he could be, why he was ignoring me, why, like, I had never experienced somebody ghosting me before. And I was just like, yo, like, this is really like crazy. I would go in the bathroom, I would be checking my phone. I would constantly be in the bathroom checking my phone at work, looking at his socials, like looking at his Facebook, trying to see like what could be going on. Like, I was losing my mind, y'all. Like, I was just like, and work was kind of like, it's always been like my escape for me whenever I'm going through something. Usually work is like always the place that I use as like my happy place, or like my outlet to be able to kind of like go through my problems but not really deal with it because I'm just kind of like zoned out. I'm working, I'm focused, but I couldn't get into it. I was not working, I was not there. I was just like, I would be with clients, not even engaging with them. I was just thinking about this man. And so I was always on my phone. So basically I ended up like quitting that job. Like I ended up completely quitting because I just like, I wanted to now it's like a month later and now I'm like, okay, like just accepting the fact that we are no longer together. He ghosted me, it is what it is, taking my L. My heart is broken. I'm literally like sad. I'm kind of like going through like a little mini depression. I don't know if you could call it a depression, but it was definitely a heartbreak and I was definitely really sad. I was going through it. It was my first one at that. This was my very first serious relationship. So I didn't really know like how to deal with it. I didn't know how to deal with it. I was just like, Mom, like I was really leaning on my mom heavy. And when I tell you my mom was pissed, she was so mad. She was like, she sent him messages. Like my mom used to really be going crazy, bro. Like if y'all know my mom, she's legit like, yeah, no ma'am. So telling her all of this was a problem because she was just like going crazy with me. She was like sending him messages, threatening him and just doing the most. A month later, this man reached out to me. He reached out to me like nothing happened. He was like, hey, he used to call me Lizabella. That was the name. Like he kind of like, he didn't give me that name, he just called me that name. I gave myself that name. That was the name I used to go by like back in my younger days. And so he loved that name and he would call me that, especially like when he was like sad or like he knew he messed up, he would call me that. And so he was like, hey, Lizabella, I'm so sorry. Like, I know. Like, and I was just like, at this point, you know, kind of like when you're like not over it, but you're kind of like, you've accepted what it is. Like you accepted that that's not, you just accepted the situation for what it was and you just decided to just move on. But I was still like very much like wondering and having a hope that maybe something would be different or something would change, but it didn't. And so, you know, he texted me just basically telling me like he was sorry and he was going through something. He lied, y'all. I'm gonna tell you what really happened, but he basically lied and was like he was going through something and he didn't want to take it out on me. He didn't want me to have to go through that with him and everything, and like he just couldn't face it with me, like, and he didn't want to hurt me and drag me through all of his pain and da 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 da. So I was like, okay, whatever, accepted it. Later on is when I found out what really happened. And me and his cousin started to talk a little bit more. And I kind of started to ask, because me, I'm not, one thing about me is I'm going to figure out, I'm going to get to the bottom of it. Whether you tell me or whether I got to dig and figure it out. But I'm going to get to the bottom of it. So you might as well tell me what's tea, because if not, I'm going to dig and I'm going to do my own research. And I'm going to figure out what's going on. So me and his cousin were kind of like texting, we were talking, and I could tell by his tone like he knew what was happening, because he really liked me. He really wanted me and him to work out, and he just was like, you know, like, what happened, da da da. And I was like, I already know you know what happened. He was like, no, I don't know. He was just like, I just know like y'all probably aren't together. And he was like, I just know y'all not together anymore. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, well, he ghosted me and that was it. Like, he didn't give me no explanation. He basically just said like he was going through it. He was going through something and he really didn't say too much else about it. And I just kind of like accepted it for what it was, because I'm not about to keep, you know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, you did me dirty. So I don't feel like I need to be begging and pleading on what and why and who and when, and because you did me dirty. At the end of it, I found out that his aunt, not his mom was in on it, but I found out he was actually planning like something really big for my birthday. He was planning like something big for my birthday. He wanted to do something really nice for me. And he had went to his mom. His mom was like his best friend. He went to his mom to ask her like, you know, what should I do for her? Like, I really love her. Like, she's really special to me. Like, I want this to be a very special birthday for her, and so I want her to always remember it, da 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 da. His mom and his aunt put the battery in his back to ghost me, y'all. Like, they were the reason that this man, like, ended up breaking up with me on my birthday, completely ghosted me on my birthday. And I'm just trying to figure, I still to this day don't know, like, how that conversation went, because obviously now I don't care. But he, like, it's so funny because he would always, I just know that he, like, they told him that he should just ghost me, and they don't think that I'm the person for him. They don't think that me and him are going to work out. Like, we're in two different parts of or areas of our life, which we weren't. We were on literally like the same path. And yeah, they just was like, we don't feel like she's a good person for you. Like, we don't feel like da 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 da. We just think that maybe you just need to ignore her, leave her alone. That's how you tell your son to deal with a problem or deal with somebody or to end a relationship? Like, no, ma'am. That's not it. I could tell he felt really bad about it. Like, he wasn't like trying to get back together, but I could tell like he felt really like regretful about it, and he knew that he hurt me really bad, and he kind of knew like it was no coming back from it. Like, there's no coming back from it. Like, you did what you did. I forgave him. And I just decided like maybe it was just best to kind of close this chapter, because I've already seen like what you're capable of doing based off of what other people tell you to do. And I don't like stuff like that. Like, I just feel like, especially as a man, you need to be able to make your own decisions. Like, you shouldn't have your mom telling you what to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, especially with this point where I am in my life now, even now up to this day, like, I hate people who are like mama's boys. Like, I don't like boys, men. I don't, because it's just like, I'm gonna always think about like his mom is gonna put that battery in his back to just do something crazy or insane, and it just is really weird. So that's pretty much the story with that, y'all. That was my very first heartbreak. I've only been in maybe two serious relationships, and that was one of them. Three where I also met his mom, and it was kind of like the same thing. Y'all can comment down below if y'all want to hear the story time for that relationship, because that one was crazy. That one was crazy too, and his mom ended up, yeah. So, but yeah, it's just so crazy. Like, I don't know. I'm just like, I've only been in like a couple serious relationships in my whole entire life. And even now, I'm just like, it makes me think of like, okay, like what I like and what I don't like, especially when it comes to dating, because these men, like, yeah, you gotta be careful what you tell other people about your relationships, because people will use that and they will use it against you, especially if you have any outside voices, you know, coming in and telling you like what you should be doing in your relationship. So that was it. I learned a valuable lesson. I was so heartbroken. My mom was so sad for me. Like, and I was like, wow, that was my first heartbreak. So it was an experience. You live and you learn. And that was it. That was my story, y'all. Thank you so much for watching my video today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely comment down below if you want to know more about the other heartbreak story. I'll have to save that for another time, but we can definitely do that if that's something y'all would love to see. Don't forget to follow me on all my socials at Liz Glams. And also, of course, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my content. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. Oh, and happy Valentine's Day. Like, hello. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope y'all find someone that you absolutely love and adore.